Welcome back to Naval Action. I'm here with the next in my series of clan interviews, and I've got a couple of good folks from SLRN. I've got Woody and Heneage Dundas with me. Say hello, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
So thanks for making the time. Maybe before we get into some of the stuff to do with the game proper, you could just give us a bit of background, how you started into gaming, what got you into NA, etc.
Do you want to go first, Woody?
Sure. I guess what led me towards Naval Action was a long time coming. A while back, I was fairly active with the game known as Navy Field, and really got involved with that, and was very interested in playing the ship combat in that game, which escalated into many other different genres. It doesn't necessarily have to include naval warfare, but I just like to see some plausible historic games out there. And so probably starting back with Navy Field 2, a little bit of World of Warships, and some of the similar games of that type. I like that idea, mixing it with a MMO type game, which I played plenty of those, time wasters. And then I was also pretty involved with EVE Online, which I jumped around for a while, but eventually, through finding friends and having multiple games in common, I did end up over in the Goon Swarm over there. And so I really got to see what it was like to have big fleet battles and strategy and diplomacy. So I kind of saw a little bit of that here with Naval Action, but a little bit of historical plausibility and some of at period type imagery and design. So I thought that would be pretty cool.
And what about you, mate? Similar story or different way in?
Well, actually, I first started playing sort of naval games with Age of Sail 3, which was the first game I played online with dial-up in about 2003, I think. I actually joined Sea Lords. The Sea Lords organisation had been around from probably around 2000.
Okay, so the Sea Lords predates NA, yeah?
It does. And, the Age of Sail game had many problems with it. It wasn't an MMO, it was sort of a set battle thing, and it was very buggy. You couldn't collide, you couldn't board, there were some other things I've forgotten. But anyway, it sort of died a death, as games do. And then, about 10 years later, through Facebook, I had Facebook friends with some people from that era, and I found out about Naval Action, so we sort of got things going again.
So, did you guys start on this server? Did you start SLRN the clan on this server?
You mean the EU server, or?
Yeah.
We began actually in Sea Trials. The very first invitations on Sea Trials. Obviously it wasn't anything like this, but that's where the guild began. And then we were the first among the first invites to the open world, and there was only one server. That's why I was a bit confused by the question. I still don't really think about multiple servers.
A good majority of our clan predate the actual MMO portion of this game with the open world and an open map. I know a lot of our players played a lot during the closed beta and the Sea Trials, and so I myself I didn't get into it that early. I didn't know about the game yet, but through another friend of a friend, I did start to hear about it and started to look into it, wanted to see pictures, wanted to see videos, anything I could. And then once I started looking into it, I was pretty much sold right away. So fairly quickly, right after the game went to this open phase, I I just, rushed in there, downloaded it, signed up, and started playing the game fairly early on, but not as long as some of our other more veteran players in the clan.
So how many folks do you have in SLRN?
According to the game clan, 171.
And
in terms of active numbers, we cull it quite regularly. We certainly don't have all 171 on at any time, but...
and what time zones are heaviest for you? What time zones do you have the most players kicking around in? Is it US predominantly?
No, it's certainly European time zone, even though we're getting a lot more players from around the world in terms of North America, Australia. But the focus is, it's an EU server that we play on, right? So the focus still remains sort of evening time Europe.
And how do you run your guild? Is it deep in rank structure, or...?
I run it as a dictator. I kick out the people I don't like. That's sort of how it's run.
That's excellent.
No, we have a we have a rank structure. There is
start your ass kissing now.
We have the Lords of the Admiralty, which is the very top. So there's only a few of them, and they discuss sort of larger policy concerns. And there's a senior council of sort of commodores and so on. And people move around a lot in terms of these positions. There aren't many people who's it's kind of it can be a hassle, right? So there's fluid movement, but there is a hierarchical structure of sorts, although that doesn't always translate to the individual battles.
Right. Sometimes you'll have somebody of more expertise or more experience, perhaps dictating the orders of the fleet while engaged in combat. They could be the fleet commanders. They could be maybe like your middle officer, type idea, where they really can shine. They apply themselves in the game in the strategies and the ways that they are good at. And then you have some of the command structure that are more diplomatic about things and how things are moderated, and definitely working with other clans, both British and as well as the other factions on the server.
And how do you look after the crafting? Have you got like reams of spreadsheets kicking around and folks trading hours all over the place?
We have a dedicated squadron within SLRN called the Red Squadron, who are in charge of crafting. Our head red person is Magnum, and they have various databases, whatever, for doing all this. We don't have any set quotas, but there's an expectation that people
when you
donate resources.
Adding to the crafting as well as the hierarchy is basically the SLRN are split up into 3 major squadrons. You have the Red Squadron, the White Squadron, and the Blue Squadron, and each of them have a somewhat different play style, and there's a little bit different expectations from each of the squadron, and that kind of identifies what the player is willing to do. Like we were just talking about, the Red Squadron, that's more of our crafting and monetary squadron. They have a lot of the blueprints. They hold a lot of the clan materials for us, and that's their job in the fleet.
And as far as so you've already said that when you go into combat you might have somebody who runs the show, as it were. How do you decide where you're going to operate? Do you just go content hunting, or do you give yourself a sort of campaign objective? What's sort of your raison d'etre for getting into Biffo?
Well, that's a decision that would normally be made by the Lords of the Admiralty, so the Vice Admirals and above, of which there are about 5, I think. They'll sort of decide who we think, is the major threat at the moment, and then try to think of ways to get at them, really.
Or it's back to Heneage's dictatorship. It's like, I don't like you. We're at war.
The North Korean management system, yeah?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, luckily, the British, and I think even in particular the SLRN, are never short of enemies. Although, we've got some friends these days, the Swedes
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I mean,
Americans.
being a British player yourself, I'm sure you can also see some of the similarities. That hey, we're smack dab in the middle of the map. We have nations on all sides. There's so many opportunities to make friends or make enemies. So I think we're pretty good about trying to be a team player with the other clans on the British faction. And we certainly take into account some of the objectives and some of the goals maybe for that week or that weekend. And I mean, we're pretty open about other British clans talking with our diplomats, and if we could do multi-clan operations, I mean, we've been known to do that in the past.
Yeah, well, with the others campaign, we had support from the Brits, the RGL, Aussies.
Yeah, that was a pretty spectacular campaign. So while that campaign, of course, was raging, Jamaica was under the vice-like grip of terrible pirate people.
I would use that a little bit more loose. It kind of depends on who really was affected. Unfortunately, a lot of the public, a lot of the non-affiliated clan players, the funny saying at the time, which everyone's pretty much trademarked, is blame the clans.
Yes, I know.
It's debatable on the actual objective. Were there pirates around Jamaica? Yeah. Were they actually impeding on a lot of what we were doing? That's debatable. For the most part, it didn't really affect us in the SLRN. We were kind of out doing our own thing, and as far as we know, the vast majority of our people did not fall victim to any of the pirate ganks, and most of the fighting that we did around Jamaica was on our terms, or we were out looking for a fight. So,
do you think in general, I'm not talking only about SLRN now, I'm talking in general, I know exactly what you're saying as far as there's a great squall in the channels about the clans aren't protecting us, the clans aren't protecting us. Should the clans be trying to protect the pubbies? Is that part of what they should be doing?
Not when they throw their ships away to pirates, no.
Yeah. Well, there's always a bad apple in every bunch, and it wouldn't be fair to say puppies as a whole are all of the like mindset. There's been some excellent times where everybody and their brother have just shown up in front of a port battle, not affiliated with a clan, and they turn out to be pretty cooperative players. Do I think it's part of the clan's responsibilities to protect the puppies? For a little bit, they can, but you don't need the training wheels there all the time. I think part of learning how to survive on a PvP server is, learning the risks and the gains. I think that it would be a nice thing to try to help our puppies as much as we can. But there's also the argument that, hey, you don't have to do fleets in front of Carlisle and Jamaica all the time. There's a vast open British territory, which we, the clans, are providing for our faction. And to a certain degree, some of these players are just choosing not to use it. And they're kind of like tethered back home to Jamaica. It's like, well, look at how many regions that you could base out of, and for the most part you're relatively safe, or if not safer than hanging out in front of the capital all day.
That's right. I mean, I know there's a lot of pubbies who fleet down in Panama at the moment and places like that where there's firstly a lot more fleeting to be had and generally safer waters, other than the odd sort of French gang squad patrolling up and down. So what about recruitment? Do you have anything special in recruitment? Do you get people quick started? How does that work in your clan? Do you hate
We have Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. They
He
give
hates
us
the hell out of me.
they send us their credit card details and
Yeah.
PayPal,
Yeah.
Yeah,
maybe pictures of a
We're
significant
in
other.
cahoots with the Nigerian prince who
yes,
really needs your help right now.
that's good.
We have
I'd
a
hate to find out that I really did have 400 million euros in that lottery. That would annoy me to hell.
there's a dedicated procedure run by our recruitment people, who include various folks. Dennis Devil is one of them. So normally you have to apply and have a sponsor from within the clan, which isn't that complicated. Go
Yeah.
on TeamSpeak, come sail.
Yeah,
By
Then
all
there-
means, we're not asking anything out of the ordinary when you think of clan membership, and I think that goes for multiple different gaming communities. I mean, there's a little bit of a background check involved, and then there's a little bit of, hey, we kind of want to let you in, see what this is, and see if this is what you want to do before you fully commit yourself. And part of it is we also want to know a little bit about the applicant before we let them in. So we do have a very dedicated team for our recruitment as far as getting them set up with all the comms, the website, anything that they need. But then we take it a step further and we do have our dedicated staff who are now training officers in the game who maybe it's not for everybody, but these guys have the extra time and the extra patience to actually show people how to play the game and why they do things, certain things the way that they do.
that's very cool. And when you so that's interesting. I know in games I've played before, we've had a sort of notion of a training officer. Do you do that just through a bit of AI fleeting and the likes, or just a bit of a chat after a port battle or some such to, don't sail on the left, you'll get hit by the middle tower, I mean, so on and so forth? How do you achieve your training as well?
Well, training, and as a British faction, it could be unique in the type of the day that we're having. Sometimes there's days where there's 100 different opportunities of are we invited to participate with this clan, or are we asking for help, or just other PvP opportunities. So sometimes it is versus NPCs, and now you could do those fleet orders. Historically, we used to have shops set up in the Bay of Haiti.
Yeah.
And very early on, I remember we've always included people of various skill level in the tagging of those large NPC fleets. And so a little bit is trial and error in a more, I guess, controlled setting. But there's, of course, those days. And it also depends on the type of applicant that we get. They may have been playing many months before they apply to a clan. Yes, there are times that, here's an objective, here's a ship, come with us, and it might be a trial by fire situation. But we try to slowly, I guess, expose them to some of the bigger operations. But there are times where, hey, if we have numbers and we have spots free, yeah, by all means, include them.
So with your construction of fleets, be it a shallow water fleet, an open water fleet, maybe even more important with the new patches, do you kind of have, you don't have to tell us what it is, but do you put a fair amount of effort into the sort of tactical composition of a fleet? You have some tankies, you have some cappy type things. How do you put a lot of effort into that?
Well,
we prefer cutters. That's our main tactic.
yes.
Ramming
Oh my
cutters.
God, the evil pickle
Actually, it
doctrine.
was after that patch a few weeks ago, right?
Oh my God, back when leak wars were, overpowered.
So do you...
As far as doctrine,
yeah.
it's been a trial and error thing, and we've certainly learned as a very active clan, and multiple harbor assaults, screening fleets, and bringing out all the expensive toys. We've now started to adapt additional thinking in how we craft the ships, and sometimes there's a little bit of uniformity involved where we're going with this build of ship and these types of mods, and we're trying to establish a precedent so that when it comes time to sail together as a group, we'll all be doing similar speeds or we'll have similar health. But then you get those other case-by-case bases where we need a ship specifically to do this. And so we'll, of course, incorporate that into our tactics.
Yeah. So more looking at the game itself, there's a bunch of big changes coming with different port battles and sailor recruitment and dynamic ship reaction to wind. What are your thoughts on those? Maybe start with the new port battles that are coming out.
I think it'll be fun to have fourth rates in the medium port battles. I think it'll lower the stakes somewhat of some of the port battles, because having recently staged however many defenses of various ports, it's quite wearing, and with a one Jura ship.
Yep. And what about things like the diplomacy patch that's muted, where your heroic activities or adventures in a port battle will give you a vote in a nation?
It's an interesting idea, and I think something has to be done, so we'll sort of see how it turns out. I mean, right now, I don't have the National Council system that's been informally created. I don't think it functions very well at all, so it'll be interesting to see how the game mechanic evolves.
I can see how some of the public responds in the forums, and some of the things that I see that the developers of this game are trying to pick up on, and I'm sure they just want a quality product that's fun for all, but you also have to appease to multiple different player types, and people who have 6 hours to play a day or 2 hours to play a day.
Challenge.
So, I believe it's a challenge for the game developers and admins to, find what is the niche, what is the key features that are going to make this game fun, but fun for all. And of course, there's always going to be people on both sides arguing their points. As far as diplomacy, I think that would be very much welcomed, feature to the game. But there has to be enough of a variety of ways to have your say, so that the little guy doesn't always get outspoken, and that the minor clans aren't just completely wiped out with no control and no, what they're calling them, the Lords of Admiralty, or the...
And what about port timers in general? What are your thoughts on timers and windows, and how long should it take a port, ideally, in a global game?
It's another challenge in terms of the port windows. This has been something that's come up a lot, and particularly with an organisation like ours, which has players. As I said, we do tend to focus during the European prime time, but we have people on at all hours, whereas some other nations tend to focus. So trying to accommodate that is very difficult, in the sense that it's not fair for people to not be able to defend a port because they're all asleep.
Yeah.
Right.
But at the same time,
Aussie time, mate. It's
Yeah.
barely anything open before it's 1 a.m.
But you're also talking British faction real estate and PvP1, and
exactly.
From the beginning till the current, there's always been a lot of land to attack or defend, and you've seen large swaths of territories flip to an entire faction all in one day or in one night. So I think that they're on the right track as far as slowing down the port battles. Perhaps some heads-up notice would be great. You could go either way, arguing if it should be 24 hours notice or fewer.
Yeah.
I think that this is how the players interact with the game, and this is something that usually brings clans together, organized groups, is they want that organized strategy and gameplay. So
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
guess maybe it isn't always fun for the other team to wake up and all their ports are gone because they didn't have enough people to defend, and I think all factions equally fall victim to that. And I'm interested to see some of the suggestions that they have out there. I know on one of the port battle changes, the minor port battle changes thread that they have, I have a post on page 11, I believe, where I was suggesting some,
Subsection
material.
4.
Yeah. Sign here, dot there. No, I was trying to voice my opinion on the forums along with everybody else, get in line, and I thought maybe if anyone's familiar with the Navy Field type game, they had a grid-like system in front of every port, and so there would be multiple battles outside the port before you can actually assault the coastline.
Yeah,
So,
I think that angle is kind of sort of a set of stepped objectives.
yeah.
I was chatting to someone the other day who reckons maybe even sort of having to, at the end of it, land marines or something.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you had the development team under your whip, what would you like to see them do new that's not
Cool
being done
whip.
right now?
Bondage is. Oh, sorry.
He did say whip.
Yeah,
He
bondage
did.
patch. I think that's
That's where
on
I
the
go.
map.
I like Cool Whip and Wheat Thins.
Okay. I don't know. What do they want to do? Well, they've got a lot of ships backed up, right? And at least one of our guys is involved in producing those. And some of them have been backed up for some time. So it would be nice to maybe try and get these models into the game.
Yeah, it's nice to be heard.
Yeah, so some more ship models. What about some? I mean, I think we're a bit short on sort of clan things.
I definitely, coming from a player who's played a variety of MMO type games and character progression type games, and then looking at the EVE Online model, I think that's how players interact as a group or as a community. So I would love to see additional interface options for running the clan, additional buttons or setting permission groups. I know the clan warehouse is something that they have proposed.
Yep.
And I think they're ironing out the minor details, but I want their game development to make being a part of a fleet to mean something, being a part of a clan to actually have a sense of belonging, and ways that you can progress the clan and have different types of perhaps perks for being a part of it.
Insignias or the likes on your ships.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
there's one thing. They flags in the sense of I was really the founder of the Blue Squadron, which was a North American-based squadron. It's no longer the case that that's the designation, but always wanted a blue ensign, but always stuck with the white. It's something really simple, right?
That'd be
I mean, not necessarily in the clan customization. I think all players as a whole, this is how we interact with the game, is by the ships that we sail and the buildings that we see. If there were additional features to maybe change the tint or the wood color, maybe putting different bannets, and really telling friend from foe. I mean, some of you have seen those major battles. A lot of people have contributed YouTube videos, yourself and myself included, and you start looking at those very large battles. Sometimes it's very difficult to see, especially if you're in a first rate or very tall, big ship.
Yes.
Who's my enemy? Well, you're all looking for the nation flag on the stern,
Yeah.
and there isn't always a uniformity with the ship banners and things like that. And then you look at those big fights where it's Santismas on Santismas, which red blob is my friend, So
and you don't win any friends by unloading the wrong broadside, do you?
yeah. Yeah, you hear that in the middle of the battle where it's all quiet, everyone's focusing, and they're like, "What the shit?"
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
We've all done it, and we've all had it done. What about things like, how would you like to see pirates work, other than sinking more?
Yes, at the bottom of the ocean is a good start.
I'm not a particular enthusiast for the pirate nation, is what it is, right? It seems to have all the benefits and none of the drawbacks. They shouldn't.
Basically, it's not been worked on at all yet, I hope.
Well, they did have that patch a few nights ago where it was in response to a lot of exploits, and you know what? Maybe it's part of the pirate mentality. I mean, the type of character who wants to play, dark and dirty and supposedly free to do whatever they want. But like Mr. Dundas here was bringing up, it seems like they have a lot of benefits, but none of the drawbacks. And each of the factions are trying to advocate for their own faction. And then you start looking at the pirates. It's like, well, why do they get to do this and that and be a nation?
Yeah.
And personally, I think it would be better if maybe it was reputation based, and that if you get a certain negative reputation, maybe you're a criminal to certain nations or something like that.
What about hiring pirates as mercenaries? So you can host a proxy war.
I think playing this time period and the way that the diplomacy and the battles take place, I don't think we can necessarily have a proper game without having some entity of pirates or privateers and encompassing them. It's just a matter of checks and balances.
Yep.
I think there's plenty of people who would enjoy that guns for hire mentality, and that they're loyal to the dollar sign. And it would be interesting.
Pound or
franc pound. Yeah. Use foreigners.
Actually, America, freedom,
America.
Well, one of the things that does occur is the fact that private men of war were responsible for funding themselves, right? And this is, it's the same with pirates. Pirates are not supported by the fiscal military state, which maybe when it comes to provisioning, crewing, stuff like that, something can be done. I don't know.
I mean,
but on the other side of that, of course, is that they don't have to pay a portion of their captures to any state either.
Correct. That's right. What's theirs is theirs, and what's ours is theirs if they get the way. It's a bit like having a wife. What else would you like? Is there anything else you'd like to see in the game that's like just not there at the moment? Is there anything that sticks out for you, other than the beautiful menus, of course?
I don't know, Mr. Dundas. Do you have something that really jumps out at you, or?
Well, the simple one is the Storm port map, Storm battle maps they used to do in Sea Trials.
Amazing, weren't they? Just saw shadows on the horizons.
So that would be sort of cool.
I think
this is. I don't know if I should say this or not.
I think you should, given your hesitance.
Okay. Why not?
Hey, keep it PG.
Well, the whole... I mean, it's not like that, but it's the moral question of slavery, right? Why is the Caribbean so damned important? Slavery. Clearly, we don't want to be selling
Sugar,
people,
hemp,
even if
tobacco.
they're pixel people. But it's it still seems like the absence is...
Yeah.
It would certainly
The
help with
absence
my
is
labour
almost
hours.
as well.
There's something missing here. I can't
There you go.
quite put my finger on it.
Well, the absence is as damning as the presence would be to some extent. So, I mean, that's more of a philosophical question more than anything else. But it is, glaring.
They could play that as well, because different nations were pro and anti-slaving at different points of time.
But I guess I understand that it would be a bit of a can of worms. Well, I mean, I don't know. That wasn't a thought out response. That was
That's all right.
Well, it's
that was
it's kinda
11:25 response.
at the period. It's like you can't have a World War II first-person shooter without the Axis powers. I mean, if this is something that played a big part of the history at the time, I think there's a way to represent it without, really trying to offend anyone. But, maybe there's got to be a slight hint or slight taste of certain historical aspects that aren't currently in the game. And then you think about it, maybe it's so minor, but when you're out in the open world, it's dead out there. You don't see like schools of fish, you don't see maritime life, you don't even see seagulls. I mean, come on. Have you ever been to a coastline and not seen a single bird?
I hate seagulls.
It would be a good thing as well to have a little bit of bird life within kicking a spit of land you can't see, because that was always the signal, wasn't it, for the sailors? I think there's a lot
additional
to be said for the
sounds.
improvement of the ambient game with different cityscapes and a bit more landscape.
That's very true.
The odd whale popping up every now and again.
But back to your original question of what would we like to really see in the game that's really lacking is, I think that there should be a more variety of means of grinding your XP and making money.
Yeah.
And one of the things I have suggested is NPC trader fleets. I mean, lately I haven't been seeing the NPC merchant ships escorted with like NPC frigate or something like that. But I think that could be another means of XP and income is what if you have these large blobs of trader vessels with combat vessels. I mean, I think that is a way to get players involved in a variety of ship types that some have to go tackle the trader and keep him in the battle, and some of them have to do battle with the protection.
Yes, cool.
So I think there's multiple different clan missions. There could be, a clan mission where it's not versus a faction, but maybe it's an NPC coastal attack or something where you have to knock out some fortifications, or maybe you could have a better variety of what can you do with your Marines. I know in other interviews, such as with the Aussies, as well as things I've read on the forum, it'd be interesting, well, what if I want my ship to have more of a landing force?
Yes.
And
things
like how can you incorporate that into a mission or another way for us to progress in the game?
Yeah.
Because right now, just your basic PvP and grinding PvE missions, they're very similar.
Also, I think, given that there is, it would both be a good clan thing and indeed just a pubby thing, is having some, I know they've brought out these major events, but doing things like having to blockade a port, perhaps a free port, or
that's good.
Run goods into a port.
I know some of them, I think the more, I think Korean and Japanese MMO games, a lot of them like to favor random world spawns.
Yes.
Where there might be, an event that spawns in a specific area, and they're very very loose with the details, and that's part of the thrill of it, is
Yes.
finding it and being able to partake in this. So what if there's a Spanish galleon fleet has been spotted near, and then it's a very broad location, things to get
A
people
treasure
out
fleet.
there. Yes, playing more of the map, or seeking certain things, or discovering new things, or maybe it would be a good idea to have more hidden, islands or inlets or little towns, things like that. Maybe they're temporary, but it'd be certainly interesting if the game had some random abilities to get people out and excited and exploring the map.
Absolutely. No, that's good. All right, guys. Look, is there anything else you want to chip in before I wrap up?
We love everyone, really. We're very loving people. I just thought I'd point that out.
Yeah, I can hear you turning the pages as you read that prepared statement.
Just wait for Valentine's Day.
All right, guys. Look, thank you very much for your time.
Oh, thank you.
Thank
and
you very much.
we all play in the nude. I think we should point that out. That's
Yeah.
one of the requirements of being a member. So
There's nothing quite like going into fire shock while you're all hot and sweaty from the battle to begin with.
Exactly.
That's what the N in SLRN stands for, yeah?
Exactly. I don't know what the rest of it is.
That's
Sea Lords in the nude.
All right, guys. Look, thank you very much for your time. Happy hunting wherever you go. This is Jeheil signing out. So I'll see you on the oceans, and I'll catch you.